I mean, we're going to have like a 40-minute talk from Gideon, and then we would delve into very serious questions and answers, right? So, as the conversation proceeds, please jot down your questions, and those of us that are joining online, please also you can send in your questions. So, I guess, yeah.
Okay, good morning. So, I think it's the continuation of our...
Yes, no, we were talking about building building strong and effective networks, and then there were conversations about there were concerns about the fact that when you are trying to build important or strong networks, you'll be letting go of the less important people that made up your former network to more critical or more advantageous people that have more value to offer to you. And the question arose about what do you need to about, okay, if someone is ahead of you, sometimes you try to get them to be your buddy or be your friend or be close to you, because that's the whole ideology of a network is someone that you could always go to in the event that there is something that you lack in terms of resource or experience, knowledge. But they are not, those type of people are not usually easy to come by. You know, we're talking about how we approach them, how you even say hi and they don't respond back, how you try to say good morning and they don't answer you back, you know. So that is what boomeranged or cascaded into what we are trying to discuss today, about how do you get people of high net worth in your circle.
So yeah, thank you. So I rephrased the title because I was struggling to make the material fit, the discussion point. So I retitled it "Making and Managing High Net Worth Individuals." So that it was making and fantastic. So making and managing high net worth individuals, emanating of high net worth individuals. So I will start with, before we get to the story of Esther, because it's the story of Esther we're going to use, and I have just 5 talk points. I would want to define what a high net worth individual is, right? So a high net worth individual is anybody who his or her liquidable assets, so assets that you can easily liquidate into money, is up to $1 million, right? So anybody who, if you wake up today, sell his property or sell everything he has, he can raise $1 million, which is about 470 million naira as of today.
500 million.
Or 500 million naira as of today. He's of all repute. He or she is someone that is of high net worth. So if we can tangibly imagine who these individuals are, we can then begin to say, in the event that we want such kinds of persons around us, what do we need to do? That's a summary of making making and managing. So if you've made the connection with a high net worth individual, how do you manage? How do you service that relationship or that connection? So my first point is from Esther. It's from Esther chapter 1. Esther 1:1-3. You don't have to open. I'll just read it. Or rather, I'll just say the story. Really, the book of Esther has a very fascinating story. Right, there was this very fantastic king who was very affluential. Right, that's the beginning of the story. Very affluential king decided to throw banquets to celebrate his his
homecoming,
everything, right? And during the celebration, one of the highlights was to showcase the queen, right? To showcase the queen, the mother of this kingdom, to his dignitaries. But the queen mother, the queen, was also hosting.
She was a feminist.
She was also hosting an event, right? Let me say she was hosting the queens that also came with the other dignitaries that came for the event. And so when the king asked for her, she was like that, I will come when I am done.
So she was a feminist.
Let me finish with this and then I will show up when I am done. And well, regardless of what the story was saying, that was an opportunity. The king needed to showcase his wife. He needed to showcase one of the treasuries of the kingdom. And it was unavailable. So there was a need. How it cascaded into saying, okay, let us throw a pageant is a different conversation. But there was a need. There was a need for the most beautiful woman in this kingdom to be displayed. She was absent. So the first point on my notes is before I get to the first one. So there was a need to be met, and then they threw a pageant, right? They threw a pageant to showcase all the beautiful ladies in the kingdom for the king to pick a new queen. So that was the opportunity that arose. The first thing that happened there is have value that matches the opportunity or need. That's my first point. Have value that will match whatever opportunity or need that high net worth individual would have. So somebody, let's use the 500 million net worth person. There's this guy that is down this road. He has, let me say, a 500 acres farm, right? Employs 70 people. He has 300 sheep and a head of cattle. That is the high net worth individual as regards this conversation. He needs a plumber because the plumber who has been servicing his plumbing need as usual is incompetent or unreliable, right? So that's an opportunity. Can you plumb? Yes. Then your value would match what he needs, or your competence would match what's the word? What do you mean?
The competence would match the void.
The void that needs to be filled. Now I'm saying this to say, if you remember from last week, everybody has that frame of 200 people within their social network that they keep constant touch with. These people cherish these 200. So, and in this case, I use a plumber as an example, or in the case of the archetype story of Esther, it is the queen who was not available. So there was a need for a beautiful bride. And if Esther, by all standards, was not beautiful, that opportunity would have eluded her. It would be somebody else. Am I correct? Esther had to be beautiful. She had to be in the kingdom at that time. That's the first thing. So her physical appearance or attributes matched the void that the high net worth individual needed. So if it does, what's the next thing that we need to do? My second point is identify the opportunity to connect. Right? So when the story went down, the pageant was made, and then Mordecai, who was serving in the king's court, was a tribesman to Esther. So when the opportunity arose, Esther learns about it because the secular was thrown around the entire kingdom, right? We are in need of a new queen who would replace this queen who could not show up for this. I am in need of a new plumber.
Although the king had to sort of sack her.
The queen?
The king
had to sack the queen.
Yes.
Oh yes,
that's what created the void.
Yes.
Not necessarily because she was absent.
Mm.
The king was bruised. The ego of the king was bruised, and he took it out on her. Like, okay, today you cease to be my queen. Right? And so there was now vacuum for a new
queen. As a matter of speaking, the queen's display was very subordinative. So I'm trying to relate it to a corporate setting, right? So the queen was demanded to do a certain task and she refused. And the king didn't just sack the queen, like Oscar said. He wrote into policy to ensure that that kind of behavior does not happen again. So this part is in the story. If you go and read it, you see what the queen did. It was decreed that any woman that does, so that no woman in this kingdom would look to their husband. You get, so let's not try this again. So this is the corporate setting. Now back to okay. So have value to match a need. Identify the opportunity to connect. So the opportunity to connect in this case was the pageant was now. The need was we need a queen. The opportunity or the opportunity to connect was a pageant. Now a sponsor or referee would be a good idea. That's my third point. A sponsor or a referral or a referee would be a good idea. It's actually important. It's eminent because you would hardly sorry to cut you short. You would hardly be able to walk up to this man that has that 500-acre farm and pitch your value directly to him. Did you hear what I said? It would be very difficult for you to be able to access that individual. Let's say Olusegun Obasanjo, by all means necessary, he's a high net worth individual. It would be virtually impossible for you to access Olusegun Obasanjo today and pitch whatever value you have to give to him, and he would listen to you. However, if the third point on this list you have it, which is a sponsor or a referee that is in close contact with this person, can put in a word for you or bring you to him, it serves a lot of good.
So you need to know somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah, so yes, third point, know somebody that know the person, or know somebody who know person, right? It is. I didn't want to say it is the most important thing because you can have that connection and have nothing to offer, right? So when you know this, opportunity arise, then you have a referral. Preparedness meets opportunity equals success. Okay. So the fourth point is impress those on the corridors of affairs. So when you meet these high net worth individuals, don't get carried away. A lot of people actually do get carried away and get power drunk, right? So you now see that you have access to this person. He has your ears. You can get 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes of his time every day, and then you think that his world now evolves around you. You should always remember that there were people that were at that circle before you met that person. And as much as you want to offer value, let's even use this organization as an example. Every one of you are very competitive. It's not because the organization is designed that way, but because we've been trained to be competitive. We want to produce the most efficient and effective results. And to do that, you have to put resources in the hierarchy. You have to take out some, you have to use some. When you are doing all of this, you have to be competitive. You have to apportion time necessarily, and then results are better, right? So if we are that way, all of you here are that way, competitive, and somebody walks into these premises and says, tell me something that's I can service generator, I can do electrical connection, I can drive a truck, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a safety and compliance officer, and he's bringing all of this. He has not met both of us. Fantastic. He hasn't met the both of us, but he has all of this value, and he met you, Stan, he met Elizabeth, and he's like, this is what I can do for the company and all of that. The likelihood of that guy meeting us is very slim, because the competition that's in you would always want to protect that which is yours. But depends on how that person approaches you. If the person came to you standing now, saying that these are the values I can offer the organization, what can you do for me? How can you help me? Can I work with you, bros? I admire you. He's putting you at a pedestal above him, not necessarily coming to say that, I can do what you do. You would be more considerate. You would have an ear for that person. Am I correct? So, third thing is impress those on the corridors of affairs. They are too important for you to ignore. You met them there. let's say soldier come, soldier go, barrack remain. So the barrack in this context is the high net worth individual that we're discussing, right? Every of these individuals that are hovering around him would come and they would go. As long as they have value to offer, they stay. The least value they have, they push away from this person. So if you are impressing those around the corridors of affairs, you would really stay in the service of this high net worth individual longer. So if that plumber, I use that plumber guy as an example, if that plumber was in good terms with the farm manager, the storekeeper, the operations, he's doing work for all of them. Let me say, Stanley say, my tap no up. Say, don't worry, your guy go, not be your tap, I go to one. The day that your guy is saying, this man has no value to offer me, all of you would rise as an army on his side, right? And then our last point here is deliver when the opportunity arises. So the goal of the connection is to add value, right? The goal of every connection to be established, the goal of every network is to create or receive value. So the last point on our discussion point is that you have to give value when that time arises. None of these things I mentioned has anything that has to do with what is in it for me, right? The 5 points we just mentioned did not address what you are going to get out of it. Because the goal is that if you can get from point 1 to point 5, whatever it is that you need, you would get out. So in summary, I would use seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and every other thing shall be added unto you. Questions?
Questions?
Okay, my question is, you having to get a sponsor really to recommend you or do a connection, but in a situation where, because of living in a civilized world where you can actually get connected to someone without a referee or a sponsor. Now, in such a situation, it's also very important that you utilize it very well, considering all of the points that have been mentioned. If sometimes your sponsor can also be a backup for you, he introduces you, as much as you have to do what is important, your sponsor can still reignite that connection. Or when there is no sponsor, when you don't have that referral, it is just you and this person, maybe through online or through any medium, maybe somehow the high network individual stumbled on something that has to do with you and is impressed and gets to connect you, but there is no referral. You will still need to do all of the things that you've mentioned. You understand? But is there any way that you can still try to impress without someone putting up a word for you? Or is it that the high network individual is not going to take you serious? Because I don't really know this person, but let me just give you a try. Someone has not really put up a word. How would you be able to utilize that opportunity so that this high network individual considers you very, very valuable?
Well, hunger necessitates consumption. So, agreeably, you have value to offer. But if there is no need for that value, the direct communication with a high net worth individual without a demand for it might earn you a discommunication, to use the word. So if you are fortunate to throw out your value in the time and season when the high net worth individual is hungry for your value proposition, then fine. You might be lucky that you did not go through the sponsor, mentor, or referral route. You understand? But if that's not the case, if that's not the case, you just communicate with the person. Like I said, the modus operandi is simple: a brief introduction of yourself and an elucidation of the promise that you want to give to him. The value that you want to offer to the person should be stated. People do what we call unsolicited applications. You apply for jobs without necessarily seeing a vacancy advertisement. Now, you are not, I don't think you are prone to getting the job. I think you are just throwing your nets in the deep in hope of a catch, but you might not necessarily get a catch. So without a declaration of hunger for your value, you might just be casting your nets or just groping in the dark about that relationship. See, there's always a relationship born when value meets need. That's how a relationship is born. Between whoever.
And it's greased by value.
Yes.
So it's established by value, it is sustained by value. So just to add to what Oscar said, yeah, it's possible to meet a high net worth individual on your own, pitch to this individual, and you are lucky, because it's really luck at that point.
Exactly.
Right, to get this person to.
So as you go to conferences where where the barriers are broken down, you can be sitting next to the MD CEO of a big establishment. You know, I was in that situation one time, and he will not even give me his number. Reason, in his head, all he saw is, why should I? He kept saying, why should I go through that stress? Because he said, I don't want to be bothered. He didn't see my value proposition, or he didn't consider what I was pitching to him as value. So he didn't. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm trying to help your life. I have the capacity, but he didn't perceive me as valuable. Right? He didn't think that whatever it is that I was trying to sell to him is valuable to him. So the definer of value is usually the person you are trying to propose to, or your proposition to. So the truth is, at that point, if there was a third party sponsor, he would have spoken in a language that he would have understood better. Or the integrity of the sponsor is such that he has gained over time an ascendancy of belief and trust in the mind of that high net worth individual. So I'm not talking. It's not me that is speaking. It is
the referral.
The referral.
So something happened recently, right? There was a lady who was referred by the managing director to us to employ. So we subjected her through our test process. She didn't perform well. However, she was interviewed. Right? She got the audience. There was an opportunity. She was not even qualified for it. But she had the third thing on the list, which was the referral. She had the referral of the managing director. You have to see it. So that's where the power of social capital or referral comes in, right? The comment is interview, employ as if possible, right? So you must see to that point. That's
on a normal day, when you fail that test,
that's the end of the conversation.
The door.
That's the end of the conversation.
But she failed the test. Granted, then there was even conversation about how we were going to manage her situation in spite of her obvious non-qualification. So the problem here consistently was value. Even in the presence of a sponsor, the value that she was offering did not make sense to us. Or it was almost as if there is no value.
Now that takes me to my second question. Like the example you gave, you met someone and you're trying to sell value, but somehow you just couldn't, perceive the value you're trying to offer. Is there a way you can go about it, trying to up your game to you have to be persistent, I know, but is there a strategy that you can, introduce at that point in time that can help you, because there is no sponsor that can speak on your behalf? Is there a way you can up your game, try to, make him understand, or is there any other way you can go about it?
So I would share a similar experience to what Oscar just shared that he had, but our tales were a bit different. So it was 2015 or 14. I was in Abuja here for an oil and gas summit with a friend and colleague of mine at the time. And very big summit. We had Oando, every of the big players in the upstream, midstream, downstream were in that room. The graduates of economics, I just came back with my master's distinction, energy economics, right? So I was in a room where I felt like I had value to offer, right? So my expectation, I flew down here to look for people that I would connect with that would give me opportunity to work. So I was looking for work at that time. And I came into the room and gauged what was happening. And it was not a room to come and discuss employment. And I told my friend immediately, I do not have anything to offer in this place. That was the end of the second day of the retreat. If we come back eventually in another 2 years, I would have something to. But for now, in this summit, no. Am I communicating? So, like Oscar said, it is up to the recipient of the value. You can't push. You can't push. If you push, it will lead to irritation, actually, in most cases. It will lead to rejection and resentment. So rather than do that, it's to project into the future. I mean, I came here today to sell to you that I can build a house for you, Abi. This is hypothetical. Handyman. I've built houses. I can deliver this for you. And the man is telling you, okay, you can't do this. What's the best way to prove to him you can't do this? Is to do it. But it's not his own job anyway, because he's saying you can't do it. So why don't you go get more competence and come back to this guy? It might not just be him, it might be somebody else. Or in most cases, it will be somebody else. It might be another high net worth individual. But in another 24 months, you are more equipped, right? That when you speak about the same value you said you had 24 months ago, you probably have something bigger to offer at that time. So just give it time. If you're consistent with what you want to offer, go repackage yourself, get more competence, and come back.
So it's you can call it transformative persistence. You are persistent in the general principle of your goals, but with the intention that you are being transformed, right? So if the person says, or if the result of this interaction is that I can't see the value that you are trying to offer me here, right? You are persistent and say, you are persistent on the basis that you as a person, you have always been a valuable person. That you have shortcomings in offering this value is something that you can fix. But by nature, you have a principle and a philosophy to offer value. So you don't stop. You just say, I just need to know, I just need to develop, I just need to understand how this value can be offered. Right? So you continue to present yourself to the person. There's a kind of parable, the parable of the wicked judge that was stated in the scripture. Can't remember the parable of the wicked judge. What did he say? It says a certain woman was meeting a judge on a matter continuously, and this judge, they say the character of the judge is that he's a judge who did not believe in God. But the woman kept meeting the judge and saying, I pray that you answer my case. I pray that you respond to my case. And at a point, the man wore the judge out. And the judge finally listened to the woman's case. So sometimes you might be lucky. But this is what I said. The effect can result in, like I said, resentment. And resentment is not just, resentment is the emotion. The response to that emotion will be discommunication. You will be blocked. There will be a restraining order placed on you if it's a physical show of determination. Yeah. You know, about how that guy, there's a story of a funny guy who went to look for a job at some time, at some place. When he went to look for the job, he came there and it's like they told him that, sorry, you did not meet our, or there is no vacancy. And the guy said, in Jesus' name, you must employ me. He stood there. He stood there, in Jesus' name, you must employ me. The problem now is, determination is not a strategy.
Neither is it value.
Yes, determination is not a strategy. It's a virtue, but it's not a strategy. I remember I used the word strategy, I mean how to. Determination is not one. Declaration of will is not a strategy. You can be willfully stupid. And what did they do to him? They released the security guard on him. If the person wanted to be more deciduous, he would just call the people who run madhouses or psychiatric homes. You have an escapee here. So you see what we're saying, right? So it continually badgering the person in to say you must attend to me is irritating. But putting in mind that I will build myself to the point where my value will be enough. It's transformative persistence. That's what I call it. So you can be persistent with the intention that you will transform yourself to the point that you can adapt. Of course, that man that I met in that conference, I could insist, right? But I also saw that he did not necessarily have what I wanted. I also saw it, so there was no need for me to force him, because we need to engage the potency of his offering. How useful, how powerful is his offering going to be? So I looked at it and I thought, well, it's not the company I want is this. It's only a subsidiary under that group. It's only the MD of the subsidiary under the group I was trying to. I was thinking that since he's in the same subsidiary and he's such an important person, he could make it happen for me. And that was what he was questioning. That why will I do that? It's not going to add anything to me and all this. So he get. Oh, and I forgot to tell you too. I also lacked the because what he wanted me to do was give him my card. He wanted me to give him my card, right? and then he would just write on it and send it to the people. But I didn't have a card on me, and I said, okay, I can give you my number. We could exchange numbers, and he said, no, I don't want you to call me if it does not work. I don't want you to follow up on me. So if I give you my contact, now you have access to be calling me to say how far, and I don't want that.
Any other questions?
Sir, my question is on number 2. Identify the opportunity to connect. Considering the story of Queen Esther in chapter 2, that was where the referrer actually told the king that there's a need for a queen after the decree has been made. And the referrer said, let's gather all the virgins in the land. Now, looking at the aspect of Queen Esther being an Israeli and also a slave, how possible could someone notice the opportunity of she becoming a queen when the king is a Persian?
The opportunity was that the king needed a queen. The ethnicity or the tribe of the queen wasn't consequential. And as a matter of speaking, Persia was vast, and Jews were in the Persian land. It's just that you can identify these ones, that these people are just peculiarly different. However, it's something that you should also take cognizance of. You don't bring sentiment, and it's exactly what what's her name, Esther, ensured of. Until she was queen, the identity of being Jew was never brought up. Right, so the limitations of I am a slave, I am a this, wasn't that. It is that I am competent for the role, not the I have 4 children, I cannot feed my wife, I cannot pay my house rates. It was not what she was pitching at that point. It was the value that she had to offer. So in this, as regards to how you're asking, the opportunity there was that the queen was needed. It wasn't exactly where the queen came from or whatever. And the guy who told the king to get a queen did not know that Esther was going to emerge.
Yes, so when you're trying to search for something, the wider your search band, the more likelihood that you are going to find what you are looking for. Are we getting? Mm-hmm. Although it will take more energy to do that search. So the prerequisite was virgins in the land. The king cannot mate with a lady that has already been mated with.
Has already been married, yeah. Because this context it's virgin as a new bride.
Good. So they said, let's get all the virgins in the land. So of course, there was now the search query was expanded, but there were other sub qualities. Yes. Because when you get all the virgins in the land, you now have to now select. So if we're going to do a recruitment, say let us, and we put our query on BSc or BE. Throw it out there. But it does not mean that because you have BSc, you'll be selected. It is because you have BSc, you are qualified to compete. I'll tell you another thing now. Competition is the avenue to display competence for selection. You get? So, anytime you are talking about competition, the word competence is in play. Anytime we talk about competition, we are trying to say who are the competent individuals so that we can select from. So competence must be there, but you want to pick the most competent or the best suited competent individual for that.
Actually, sir, that was the part I was going to take you into the corporate section. Now, okay, for instance, in the qualification to compete has been pitched on PhD, and I'm a BSc holder, but I know I have all the competency, I have the value that they need.
You are redefining it. If the entry level is
Entry requirement.
If the entry requirement for the competition is PhD, it doesn't matter. If we are
have
saying
to have the PhD.
let us have a men's table tennis competition, if you like,
be women's champion,
be the women
Olympic
who are
gold
not
medalist.
qualified,
You are not
being
qualified.
you get even
So she was a fine maiden.
that's
She was
extra.
qualified. Fine
The fine
virgin maiden.
is
Just
the-
qualified her.
Fine is the extra safe.
Yes.
The real whatever is virgin,
Virgin maiden. That's all.
right? And I don't think she was the person with the most physical endowment, or by Persian definition, the most pretty. I don't think so. There were other ladies there that were prettier, but Esther came out because of all that. So you can see, right? Have you been to a pageant before? If you go to a pageant, the people that are removed, the people that fall out of the qualification in terms of their beauty are more than the people who qualify in terms of their beauty. I don't know what I said made any sense. So you see many fine people on the wayside that even the ones that qualify say, they didn't pick this person, they picked this person. Are you getting the picture now? So, but it's not just all about. It's just the entry requirement. So be careful when you say entry requirement. So even if you have all the experience, you have 500 certification, they say PhD. So go away first. If you don't have PhD, all those things don't matter.
Yeah.
So
Is there any way you can deal with those sabotaging your values to others? Like you have a bad, but there are people sabotaging you. Is there any way you can deal with it?
How do you know that people are sabotaging you?
You will know. By the time maybe they're telling lies.
So do you also know when you are the one sabotaging yourself? So I think the first one that you should handle is that you are not sabotaging yourself. Forget about what people, those are externalities that are entirely outside your control. The one that is within your control is that you are not sabotaging yourself. You are not pitching what you cannot offer. Right? So, I've forgotten the term in psychology. We always, everybody, I did a tweet about it some time back, we overestimate our abilities. We feel like if you leave me now, I can do all of these things I do. So half the time we say we are here, but we're right here. So before you think that it's somebody else that is sabotaging you, you are sabotaging yourself. Your perception of yourself is always inflated.
what do you do about people who are sabotaging you? Kill them. Buy it gone. Buy it gone. Have you seen Daredevil with the series? Buy it gone. In the night, go to their house, shoot them, but ensure you are not caught. And then when all the people that are sabotaging you are dead, then go and see
if this is a more what's his name?
graphic.
Yeah, I want to use somebody's name.
Is it Robert Greene?
No, Mugabe. The guy before Mugabe.
Is he in Zimbabwe? Robert Mugabe is
Not Zimbabwe. Mobutu Sese
Seseko. Okay.
This is a very, very graphical idea of what you should do to people that you think are sabotaging. However, I want you to take what I said into very, very sincere consideration. It is not. It's external. Don't think of it that way. Don't think that I was too qualified and I wasn't. It's not yours for the. If it was yours for the taking, you would have gotten it.
See, the moment I told you last time, the energy for creation and destruction. I mean, the energy for creation itself is very intense. You don't know. If people are sabotaging you, it means your energy is not strong enough.
For years.
Because there is no good thing that will be established in the universe without commensurate opposition. Because what the universe wants is, can it degrade or can it just stay as it is? You trying to bring something new is you are offsetting balance. Trying to bring something new, trying to advance is you are offsetting balance. So why should whatever has been in place before just allow you to just advance like that?
Yes. So this is to say that those oppositions are supposed to be there. Those sabotages in quotes are supposed to be there. It is your force, it is the energy that you will that should be able to surmount it. So that we're not speaking over your head, even if it's on the workplace. Let it be that they are not asking you for reports. Let it also be that nobody is asking you on what you are supposed to deliver on. You are not sabotaging yourself. Then let them now not identify this value that you are doing. Then you can say these external forces are overpowering you. However, there's no way that you will deliver on these terms that these external forces like Elizabeth and Co will be able to. Oh no, I put names to the principalities and powers. Will be able to overpower you. Any other questions?
Dan, do you have any question? Are you sure? So what did you get from this? Just sit. Just project your voice.
What I learned from this, I learned how one can be connected to high network individuals and the steps to take. But the most important of all is that one should identify the need of the high network individuals and then make sure that it has the values and competency to meet that need. To me, that's the most important thing that I learned from this wonderful lesson.
All right, I think we can round off with a powerful clap. Yeah. Have a good one. Have a good one. So, thank you. So next week, again, we're going to have another powerful.
To discuss eschatology and how the world is going to end in 10 years.
You need to study on it.
Yeah,
you need to study very much on it.